What's up, guys? How's it going, everybody? My name's Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new Batman Arkham City video. And today we're gonna go on ahead and probably complete the most requested video on Arkham City, and that is my favorite top 5 suits that are available for Batman specifically. Now, keep in mind, again, there are other characters that you can have different costumes for in the game, like Catwoman, for example, has her 3 different outfits, Robin has his 3 different outfits, and Nightwing, of course, has 2 different costumes as well. But today, we're going to focus on Batman. And there are 9 total costumes to go through. Now, one of the reasons why I hesitated to talk about the top 5 or a top 5 for this game is just because, honestly, the suits are purely aesthetical. And I know you could say, well, Blitz, you made a similar countdown type video for Spider-Man PS4, so why can't you do one for Batman? Well, because in Spider-Man PS4, a lot of the suits unlocked unique powers and unique power-ups. And therefore, it felt like they were a little bit more unique and had more of a unique component to them. I do wish that these suits were a little bit different as well. Like, for example, if Sinestro Core Batman, instead of just even using his regular gadgets, would use constructs to go on ahead and create them. Like, even if he would just conjure up a grapple gun or a batarang, that would have been so insanely cool. I literally would have not even wanted them to change any of the gadgets, just make the animations and kind of put a skin over top of the regular gadgets. And that would have made this a very unique character. Unfortunately, that's not the case, so it's just purely an aesthetical element. Now, with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the countdown. We're going to run through the top 5 characters, but first, I want to go on ahead and showcase all 9 so that you guys know which ones we have to select from, and I want you to leave your list down in the comment section as well. So here we go. We've got number 9 here, or I guess 1 of 9. This is not necessarily number 9 for me. This is Sinestro Core Batman. We then have Batman Incorporated Batsuit. We have the 1970s Batsuit. We have the Batman Beyond costume. The Earth 1 Batman. The Year 1 Batman. The Dark Knight Returns Batman. The Animated Series Batman. And last, but certainly not least, the Arkham City Batman. So here we go. Number 5 is going to be quite a surprise to many of you, but it is the actual suit from Arkham City. And I know a lot of people will definitely disagree with this list, so again, there's no issues at all. If you do disagree, you can leave your suggested list down in the comment section below. I am looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, but to me, I think it's a great suit, but honestly, when you see some of the other suits in the actual game and the way that they animate and the way that they move and interact with the rest of the aesthetics of the game, I think there are some better options. Don't get me wrong, I think that at this point, the suit has become somewhat iconic, and I think it is definitely a really good Batsuit. It's definitely unique to the gaming universe, but it's not one of my all-time favorites, and it still manages to get to the top 5, so I guess that's kind of good as far as the overall rating is concerned. Number 4, we have the Dark Knight Returns outfit, and I know that this is going to be a divisive one, especially when compared to number 5, but to me, I guess maybe it's just due to the iconic nature of this particular costume, and furthermore, having just done the concept art video for Batman Arkham City and going into the actual story, I really feel like the Batman that we see in The Dark Knight Returns fits very well into the Arkham universe. So because of that, I think that this costume works well within the story of this game, as far as, like, you know, the Joker coming to his end and so on and so forth. So I think it works in that sense. And then furthermore, I just think that obviously due to the iconic nature of this costume, it kind of had to be somewhere in the top 5, I feel like. And I think they did a pretty good job with the character model. I think he looks unique enough, but also looks very, very, very similar to the actual Dark Knight Returns costume that we see within the comic books. So in that sense, I think they knocked it out of the park. Number 3. So this is my list, so obviously there's going to be an element of nostalgia to this whole list, which I guess gives you a little bit of spoilers about the rest of the list. But number 3 is going to be the Batman Beyond costume. I am someone who grew up on the animated series and the Batman Beyond cartoon. Those were probably some of the most watched shows that I watched, especially like Western cartoons. Those were definitely up there. And then, of course, there was a bunch of others like Dragon Ball Z, but that's a story for another time. Regardless, I think the Batman Beyond suit is really, really cool for several reasons. First of all, it's Batman Beyond. Second of all, I think it's just really cool to see Batman without a cape. I know that seems like such a weird thing to point out, but I honestly find it to be so interesting that the cape really does change the entire characteristic of Batman so much. And I think that you can really tell how different Batman looks, and just the entire presence of the character as a whole changes so much with or without a cape. So I think that in that sense, this costume is very, very unique, similar to something like the Sinestro core suit. It's very unique and very different compared to the others. Whereas obviously you could make a lot of comparisons between the different suits and say like, well, Dark Knight Returns is still pretty much the same color scheme, pretty much still the same design as, let's say, the Arkham City outfit, etc., etc. So I think that in that sense, it gets some points for being unique, and plus, of course, some points for being the nostalgically awesome design based on a very cool cartoon, Batman Beyond. Number 2, the nostalgia continues. Of course, as I mentioned, Batman Beyond was one of my favorite cartoons, but my favorite cartoon was definitely Batman the Animated Series. And when I saw that they were going to include this costume in the game, I thought that is exceptionally awesome. It is so cool that it is incredibly unique for sure. I think that the one thing that holds it back is actually the design, because it kind of doesn't fit into the game. Like, this costume really stands out so much. It really doesn't blend into the aesthetic of the game at all, whereas the other costumes that we've seen, they fit in. Like the Dark Knight Returns, Batman Beyond, they still fit into this world and they work within the context of the Arkham City video game. This one definitely stands out quite a bit because obviously it is so different just in terms of the art style and the cel-shaded look and all of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that that's how it should have looked, because I think that's what the animated costume should look like. But to me, I understand the argument that many people could say like, hey, that takes you out of the game if their character model clearly doesn't fit into this world. I understand that that's a fair argument, and it could take you out of the game experience overall if your main protagonist doesn't feel like he actually should be a part of the game that you're trying to play. So that's a fair argument, and that's probably the only reason that I would say that it's not at number 1, which I guess makes you think now, what the heck did he pick as the number 1 suit? Well, let's jump to that. And number 1, it is Earth 1 Batman. And I know that this is by far the most controversial pick, because I know a lot of people are going to say, really, dude, not animated series, not the Dark Knight Returns, or heck, even the Arkham City, because I think that's probably going to be most people's favorites. To me, I think that the Earth 1 costume is just so awesome. I think that it's a really nice balance between something that feels like classic Batman, where it still feels like a comic book character, but at the same time, he's been very modernized and he looks almost like somewhat inspired by, you know, the more recent Batman movies, whether it be Batfleck or The Dark Knight. It's definitely kind of a nice compromise between the two different elements. And unlike the animated series costume, I think that this one fits into the Arkham City video game. Like, in fact, had we not known that this is the Earth 1 costume, I think that you could really very believably just drop this as the main suit that you would use in the game. I think it's really cool that it still has some of those elements, like the yellow bat logo. I think that's very cool and definitely kind of old school, and just the overall presence of this suit looks awesome. I think it's just the best balanced suit in the game. It looks cool both in the game, functions well, has really cool modern and classic Batman elements to it. So for me, Earth 1 Batman is the pick for number 1, which honestly surprised even me when I started putting together this list, because I was like, wait, really? Am I really going to pick this suit? But I genuinely think it's the coolest one of the bunch. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, let me know down in the comment section below, what does your top 5 look like? There are only 9 suits to choose from for Batman, I should say. So obviously it kind of limits your selection, but I am genuinely curious to see what you guys pick. So if you can, leave that down in the comment section below. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys here next time. Bye-bye.